Well, no, politicians, they got to be sharp and quick on their feet, but who knew that many of them could also have a great sense of humor, whether intended or otherwise? Now, Rich Rubino, who's author of the Political Bible of Humorous Quotations from American Politics, he spoke with me earlier this week about some of the hilarious quotes highlighted in his book. Well, you know what? I think the best way to do this is go through some of the quotes, and then you can give the backstory. And I won't be able to do it justice in this because you really cover everything in here, not just presidents or campaigns, but you get to blunders here. And there's usually the context is almost better in some cases than the jokes themselves. So one of them, a U.S. representative called his redheaded colleague a howdy-doody-looking Nimrod. Who said that?
Yes. That was Democrat Marion Barry of Arkansas, and he was referring to Adam Putnam, a young Florida Republican. It was basically an argument over the Blue Dogs budget. The Blue Dogs are conservative Democrats, which Marion Barry was one of them. And kind of a fit of rage, I guess, he said, he called him, he said that howdy-doody looking Nimrod. So, and as you can see, if you look at a picture of Adam Putnam, you can see somewhat of a resemblance between him and howdy-doody.
Which president, after he lost his renomination from his own party, said there's nothing left to do but get drunk?
Yes, that was in 1856, the last time a Democratic president who sought his party's nomination went all the way to convention and lost. And that, of course, was Franklin Pierce. He lost to James Buchanan, and his response was, there's nothing left to do but get drunk.
Well, I love this one. After a candidate had lost an election, he said the people have spoken, the bastards.
Yes, that was Dick Tuck. He ran for state senate in California.
Unfortunate name. Yes, go ahead.
That too. He ran for state senate in 1966. He was a former Democratic strategist, kind of a dirty trickster. Well, he's actually the person who had somebody go up to Richard Nixon after the Kennedy-Nixon debates and say, you know, don't worry, you'll do better next time, son, to try to discourage his confidence there. But it's interesting. He said this after he lost, and he said, as I say, the people have spoken, the bastard. And he had an interesting slogan in that race as well for the Democratic primary. He said, the job needs a Tuck, and Tuck needs a job.
And to give an idea of corruption, so folks don't think it's restricted to Albany and Trenton in our viewing area, this governor, talking about corruption in the state's electoral process, said, when I die, I want to be buried in St. Martin's Parish so I can remain politically active.
Yes, and I think most people would figure this means they only stay with parishes, of course, Louisiana. Yep. And that was Earl Long, not Huey Long, but Earl Long, who was governor from 1939 to 1940. So we had 1 year as their governor, and as you can say, that slogan really lived on, I think.
This one closer to home, in fact, a very famous New York political boss and state senator, he was mad at a newspaper, particularly a political cartoon, that depicted him as corrupt. So he told a reporter from that paper, I don't care a straw for your newspaper articles. My constituents don't know how to read, but they can't help seeing them damn pictures.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, and that told what Boss Tweed thought of his state senate constituents. That told what he really thought of them. They can't read, but they just look at the pictures. And he had never complained about all the nasty articles that were written about him in the past. That never bothered him. He saw that one picture. He said, my constituents might look at the picture and see me as this, with this big belly and all, and they might think I'm corrupt.
And talking about blue and red states, a Republican governor of a Democratic state joke, being a conservative in Massachusetts, it's like being a cattle rancher at a vegetarian convention.
Yes, that was right around 2005, 2006, when Mitt Romney, the governor of Massachusetts, was contemplating a presidential run. He was chairman of the Republican Governors Association, so we have to go around the country basically speaking for Republican governors. And the first question you'd often get is, you're a Massachusetts governor. Does that mean you're a moderate? Does that mean you're a liberal? And he kind of run as a moderate in 2002 for governor. And so he kind of tried to distance himself. So he'd essentially make that joke. And there was a little bit of a backlash in Massachusetts about that, because I can't think of very many other examples of a governor actually going around the country making fun of their home state.
Okay, which president said, in my many years, I've come to the conclusion that one useless man is a shame, two is a law firm, and three or more is a Congress. I'm sure a lot of presidents wanted to say that, but who said that?
That was John Adams, who had very many issues with the Congress in his time. But yeah, I mean, I can think of basically I can think certainly of any, whether it's a Democratic president who deals with a Republican Congress or vice versa, who would certainly make that analogy today.
I love this one. Which gubernatorial candidate was so confident they were going to win that he said, the only way I can lose this election, and I love the distinction here, is if I'm caught in bed with either a dead girl or a live boy?
Yes, that was the inimitable Edwin Edwards, the one who is actually still running at age 87 right now for an open congressional seat in Louisiana and made the runoff. He's the one who said that. He also had another quote that I found interesting with him. He was running in 1983 that year against David Tren, and he said that he said he's so stupid, basically it takes him an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes.
And this one, which candidate said of his opponent, and this was in a race for president, when his library burned down, it destroyed both books. He hadn't finished coloring in the second. That's a great line.
Yes, and the ironic part about this is they actually teamed up, believe it or not, and ran with each other on a ticket 8 years later. This was in 1986, and that was Jack Kemp saying it about his then essentially arch nemesis Bob Dole. And as I say, in 1996, Dole was seen as kind of a fiscal austerity champion. He needed somebody who was a supply sider, so he came to Jack Kemp, who had made that comment, who would never really liked him that much, and said, "Will you be my running mate?" And he became the running mate. So it just shows it just shows no hard feelings in politics, I guess.
Oh, it's a fantastic book. It's funny. You don't have to do it in all one bite here. You can do this in chunks. And I bet you, Rich, you could probably put together another book and a third one. There's no shortage, right?
Just wait for the 2016 race. I'm sure there'll be a lot of politicians saying a lot of, shall we say, stupid things.
Yes, I think that's a good way to frame it. Again, the book, The Political Bible of Humorous Quotations from American Politics. Rich Rubino, I really appreciate a few minutes. Thank you so much.
No problem. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all the time that we have for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. as always. See you then.